Hi, I'm Taylor.
And I'm Sammy.
And you're watching Less Than a Half.
Today we're going to be cooking with crime and cocktails.
Yeah. To start off, we'll be doing, it's called the Blood and Guts fitting cocktail. And so to start, I already showed you. You have Jello, Sprite, grenadine? Whatever.
Guinevere?
Yeah, that's exactly it. We'll look it up later and suck it. I don't care. And also vodka. And it's a really easy recipe. So we're gonna fork the Jello. You heard me.
I'm sorry, what?
Fork it. Okay.
I prefer spooning. I'm a gentle soul.
We'll spoon it then. Spoon the Jello. I made a lot. Okay, this is cherry and raspberry Jello. It said grape, but we couldn't find any. I swear to God. There was no grape Jello.
Grape? Like the simplest flavor of all
the
time?
most basic flavor. Except like lime and strawberry.
Wait, why would it be grape if it's supposed to be red?
I think it's supposed to, like, the idea is that it's like coagulated blood or whatever.
Oh.
And they wanted it to be dramatic or something. It's actually good for spooning because I'll need this spoon for the grenadine. So we have two glasses filled with ice. You don't want perfect cubes. Hold on. That looks gross. Perfect. And just spoon that in there. Real good.
Building weird cocktails is always such like a crime against nature.
It is.
Like you're putting Jello over ice cubes right now.
Yeah.
It's
Gonna look cool. Hopefully, I did not test this before I did it. We're just gonna find out. Hope
We're waiting.
Exactly. I think that's good. I don't know. There's instructions. I'm just not reading them. So once you pre-make your Jello, now, like start now. Go make Jello
Right now.
and then you can make this cocktail along with us. Is that Sprite? There are no measurements.
Add a generic lemon lime soda.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be Brandon Sprite unless they want to sponsor us. Then it can be.
All the spawns.
Oh, please sponsor us. Okay.
Okay.
There.
Okay.
There.
Okay.
Yeah, looks pretty weird so far. Perfect.
Getting weird.
Getting weird. Should we measure the vodka or just pour it? Just pour it.
Just pour it.
Okay.
Just pour it.
You get it.
Oh crap.
Don't. Here, just use it like rise it to there. There we go. And over here. Perfect. Very alcoholic.
All right.
And then gently stir. Yeah, it looks pretty coagulated. Looks like coagulated blood. They're not wrong. Okay. And then it says to carefully.
Okay.
Struggle.
Carefully struggle.
To carefully struggle.
That's my advice in
then
all of life.
Gently put your hand down. I assume like this. I don't actually know.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Like sits on top.
I don't know how much is because I feel like it's sweet, so I'm just gonna do a bunch. I think that's it. Easy cocktail. Let's see if it tastes good at all. I put a lot of grenadine, whatever, in it. Yep, that's the finished result. Ooh, you can see how chunky it is.
This does look like blood and or guts.
See in there?
I get it. I get it.
You see it?
Shall we?
Yeah. Clink. That's good.
Yeah.
I felt that burn.
We're grown adults.
Yep. It's good though. I need to eat some of the Jello. Hold on.
Oh, I can taste some of the Jello. That's good. That's good Jello.
All right, now let's get cooking. Okay, kids. Today we'll be making eating taco pockets.
And while we do that, we're going to be talking about the wild case of Dee Dee and Gypsy, which was really popular a couple years ago. And it's about Munchausen by proxy, which is an incredibly fascinating mental disorder. So to start talking about this case, you kind of have to understand why a person could do this to another person. And if you haven't heard of the case, don't worry, we'll get there. So the mother in the situation is mother and a daughter. Dee Dee, the mother, and Gypsy, the daughter.
Keep going. Sorry.
And come to find out, the mother suffered from what's called Munchausen by proxy syndrome. And it's a relatively rare disorder where essentially, in order to receive some sort of attention or sympathy, a person will pretend someone around them is sick, going so far as to make that person sick.
Just cut like this, just like this. Expert chef.
Professional.
Yeah. I'm not crying, you're crying. Oh.
For 7 years before the murder, Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose Blancharde lived in a small pink bungalow on West Volunteer Way in Springfield, Missouri. Their neighbors liked them. Sweet is the word I'd use, a former friend of Dee Dee's told me not too long ago. Once she met them, people said they were impossible to forget. Dee Dee was 48 years old, originally from Louisiana. She was a large, affable-looking person, which she reinforced by dressing in bright, cheerful colors. She had curly brown hair she liked to hold back with ribbons. People who knew her remember her as generous with her time, and when she could be, generous with money. She could make friends quickly and inspire deep devotion. She did not have a job, but instead served as a full-time caretaker for Gypsy Rose, her teenage daughter. Gypsy was a tiny thing, perhaps 5 feet tall as far as anyone could guess. She was confined to a wheelchair. Her round face was overwhelmed by a pair of owlish glasses. She was pale and skinny, and her teeth were crumbling and painful. She had a feeding tube. Sometimes Dee Dee had to drag an oxygen tank around with them. Nasal cannula looped around Gypsy's small ears. Oh, okay. Ask about her daughter's diagnoses, and Dee Dee would reel off a list as long as her arm. Chromosomal defects, muscular dystrophy, epilepsy, severe asthma, sleep apnea, eye problems. It had always been this way, Dee Dee said, ever since Gypsy was a baby. She had spent time in neonatal intensive care. She had leukemia as a toddler. The endless health crisis had taken a toll. Gypsy was friendly, talkative even, but her voice was high and childlike. Dee Dee would often remind people that her daughter had brain damage. She had to be homeschooled because she'd never be able to keep up with other kids. Gypsy had the mind of a child of 7, Dee Dee said. It was important to remember that in dealing with her. She loved princesses' outfits and dressing up. She wore wigs and hats to cover her small head. A curly blonde Cinderella number seems to have been her favorite. Their house, like everyone else's around them, had been built by Habitat for Humanity. It had amenities specially built for Gypsy. Ramp up to the front door, a jacuzzi tub to help with the muscles. And sometimes on summer nights, Dee Dee would set up a projector to play a movie on the side of her house. The children of the neighborhood, whose parents usually couldn't afford to send them to a movie theater, came over for a treat. Dee Dee charged for concessions, but it was still cheaper than the local multiplex. The money was to go to Gypsy's treatments. Dee Dee became particularly close with some people across the way, a single mother named Amy Pinnegar and her 4 children. Over years of tea and coffee, Dee Dee would tell Pinnegar her life story. She was originally from a small town in Louisiana, but she'd had to flee her abusive family with Gypsy. It was her own father, Gypsy's grandfather, who'd been the last straw. He'd burned Gypsy with cigarettes. So she'd lit out from her hometown for good. She told Pinnegar that Gypsy's father was a deadbeat, an alcoholic drug abuser who had mocked his daughter's disabilities, called the Special Olympics a freak show. As Pinnegar understood it, he'd never sent them a dime, not even when Dee Dee and Gypsy had lost everything in Hurricane Katrina. It was a blessing that a doctor at a rescue shelter had helped them get to the Ozarks. Sometimes, Listening, Amy Pinnegar found herself overwhelmed. I wondered, Pinnegar told me over the phone last fall, keeping this child alive, is she that happy? All she could do was be a good neighbor and pitch in when she could. She'd drive Dee Dee and Gypsy to the airport for the medical trips to Kansas City, bring them things from Sam's Club. Ultimately, they did seem happy. They went on charity trips to Disney World, met Miranda Lambert through Make-A-Wish Foundation. Looking back on it, Pinnegar was sometimes even jealous of them. It was a perfect story for a human interest segment on the evening news. Family living through tragedy and disaster, managing to build a life for themselves in spite of so many obstacles. But the story wasn't over. One day, last June, Dee Dee's Facebook account posted an update. Dee Dee being the mother. The status read, "That bitch is dead." It was June 14th, a hot Sunday afternoon that had driven a lot of people indoors to the blessings of air conditioning. The first few comments on this status are from friends expressed with disbelief. Maybe the page had been hacked. Maybe someone should call. Does anyone know where they live? Should someone call the police? Give them the address. As they debated it, a new comment from Dee Dee's account appeared on the status. "I fucking slashed that fat pig and raped her sweet innocent daughter. Her scream was so fucking loud, LOL." Yeah.
But LOL?
Yep, it says LOL. Kim Blancharde, who lived nearby, was among the first to react. Though Kim had a similar last name to the Blanchardes, she wasn't a relative. She had met Dee Dee and Gypsy in 2009 at a science fiction fantasy convention held in the Ozarks, where Gypsy could wear costumes and not be particularly out of place. Kim called Dee Dee's number, but there was no answer. Kim's husband, David, suggested that they drive on over to the house just to make sure everything was all right. When they arrived, a crowd of worried neighbors were already gathering. Dee Dee and Gypsy had sometimes been unreachable before, off on a medical trip without telling anyone. The windows had a protective film on them. It was hard to see in. Knocking on the doors brought no response, but everyone found it suspicious that Dee Dee's new cube van, which could easily transport Gypsy around in her wheelchair, was parked in the driveway. Kim eventually called 911. The police couldn't enter the house without a warrant, but didn't stop David from climbing through a window. Inside, he saw nothing amiss. All the lights had been turned off, and the air conditioning was on high. There were no signs of robbery or any struggle. All of Gypsy's wheelchairs were still in the house. The police began taking statements while they waited for a search warrant. Again, I feel like you can just go into the house.
Yeah, exactly.
At this point. Kim relayed information back to Facebook. Yes, they'd been to the house. Yes, the police had been called. Dee Dee's online friends and acquaintances began bombarding Kim with questions. She answered as best she could, but the status was beginning to get shared around Missouri. The search warrant didn't come through until 10:45 that night. This whole day, the whole day.
Wow.
The police found Dee Dee's body in the bedroom. She'd been stabbed and had been dead for several days, but there was no sign of Gypsy. The next day, Kim organized a vigil and a GoFundMe account to take care of Dee Dee's funeral expenses, and possibly Gypsy's. Because again, they don't know where Gypsy is. She's just gone. And none of her wheelchairs are missing, so they're like, there's no way she's alive because...
She can't walk.
Yeah.
Apparently.
They're like, oh no, what's going on? What's happening? Blah, 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 right? Everyone's all confused. Where is she? Meanwhile, the police were starting to sort things out a little bit. A young woman named Aaliyah Woodmansey had approached them. There were some things she knew, things that might be helpful. For example, she told them Gypsy had a secret online boyfriend. Aaliyah is Amy Pinnegar's daughter, which is the woman who lives across the street from them with 4 kids. She's 23 years old, and she's worked as a medical claims investigator. She always felt like a big sister to Gypsy, and evidently Gypsy felt the same. But they were rarely alone together, as Gypsy's mother was constantly by her side. So when Gypsy confided in Aaliyah, it was through a secret Facebook account under the name Emma Rose. She sent her a message that said, quote, "This is my personal account. My mom is still overprotective, so she don't know about this account." Then she had confessed to Aaliyah that she met a man on a Christian singles site. She was in love with him, and she told Aaliyah this.
Yeah.
Gypsy hadn't told her mother about the secret online boyfriend. And she wrote that she knew that Dee Dee wouldn't approve, and that she wasn't allowed to date, though she longed to grow up and have a boyfriend like other girls her age. Quote, in the past, I told my mom something mean. Says I wished your mom was my mom instead of my mom, because Mrs. Amy let Aaliyah date anyone she wanted, so that hurt my mom. But essentially, she told Aaliyah that she once told her mom that she wishes Aaliyah's mom was her mom.
Yeah.
She could just date people.
Yeah.
Like a normal person.
Yeah.
Normal teenager. The new boyfriend's name, Gypsy revealed, was Nicholas Godejohn? I don't know.
We'll look it up.
They'd been communicating for over 2 years. He didn't care that she was in a wheelchair, and Gypsy planned to marry him. They were both Catholic. They had agreed on names for their children. She was cooking up an elaborate plan for Dee Dee to casually meet Nick at the local movie theater, after which Gypsy was hoping they could be open about their relationship. So Aaliyah had known from Gypsy that she had tried to meet men online before, that in spite of what Dee Dee said about Gypsy's 7-year-old mind, thoughts about romance and sex were taking root anyway. But she was concerned. Gypsy had always seemed naive to her. In October 2014, she wrote, I'm 18, Nick is 24, which made her secret online boyfriend 6 years older than her. Plus, the way she talked about the relationship was odd. It was like some kind of magnificent fairy tale was unfolding. She was worried, too, about Dee Dee, who'd confronted her in 2011 about her chats with Gypsy, telling her she was corrupting a child. I'm not going to tell your mom about the things you said, she told Aaliyah, but I don't want you talking to Gypsy like that. Dee Dee took away Gypsy's phone and computer for some time. Gypsy had always managed, nonetheless, to slip through some crack in her mother's attention, find some other way of getting to Aaliyah. But the two saw each other less and less, and after the messages about Nick in the fall of 2014, Aaliyah didn't hear from Gypsy again. After finding all of this out about Gypsy and the secret boyfriend and secret Facebook account and all that good stuff, on June 15th, a team of officers in Waukesha County, Wisconsin, were dispatched to Nick Godejohn's house. The standoff was brief. Nick quickly surrendered. Luckily enough, Gypsy was with him, unharmed. And relief flooded everyone, at least for a moment. Things are not always as they appear, the Springfield sheriff said at a press conference the next morning. It turned out that, in fact, Gypsy hadn't used a wheelchair from the moment she voluntarily left her house a few days earlier. She didn't need one. She could walk just fine. There was nothing wrong with her muscles, and she had no medication or oxygen tank with her either. Her hair was short and spiky, but she wasn't bald. Her hair had simply been shaved all her life to make her appear ill. She was well-spoken, if shaken by recent events. The disabled child she'd long been, in the eyes of others, was nowhere to be found. It was all a fraud, she told the police. All of it. Every last bit. Her mother had made her do it.